I've been recording these a couple times, just trying to get everything set out. I'm really not going to talk too much about me, but I do want to talk about why I'm doing this. I was confused for a while about the details of some of the facts and the timeline due to multiple websites and media outlets reporting conflicting statements. So this is the best I can do to figure out what happened in the Gabby Petito, Brian Laundrie murder disappearance um, event. So July 2nd, Gabby and Brian leave for their trip from New York. They drive through a bunch of states, but I picked them up in Kansas, where they posted some pictures from Gabby's Instagram at Mountain Rocks. The photos were taken on location and posted August 19th by Gabby. Want to make a note. Public appearances of individuals or the couple is in boxed in red. Last communications, electronic or verbal or in person, um, are boxed in purple, and incidental occurrences are boxed in yellow. So we will get right to it. Let's see. So they're driving through Kansas, Colorado, Utah, posting pictures on Instagram between the days of July 2nd and August 1st. Then, on or around August 1st, Gabby and Brian arrive to the area around Moab. They spend time in Canyonlands and Arches, taking pictures, posting Gabby's Instagram account. So, and Brian's Instagram account, as well as their TikTok account. Um, then on August 12th, Gabby makes one of her last posts at around 12 to 1 p.m. Then later that day at around 2:40 p.m. on the 12th, a 911 call is made by a man not who has not been identified, who witnessed Brian assaulting Gabby. He gives an accurate description of the van. The police make a stop based on that accurate description. He's a very good 911 caller. He's done it before. And then they make the stop. But they incorrectly interpret the 911 call and the statements made by Gabby and Brian and the facts that they saw in front of them. So they placed blame on Gabby. They were going to cite her. They did not, but they separated them for the night. I do not know if they contacted each other later. They were ordered not to. I do want to make a comment that Brian was visually searched for weapons by the responding officer whose camera was released. But it's important to note that the van was never questioned on whether or not it had weapons in it. On the 13th, Brian, who is not as frequent a poster as Gabby, that's why I call him a notoriously bad poster, he makes his last Instagram post. On the same day, incidentally, two women, a couple, are last seen in Moab at 11 p.m. leaving a bar. There is a double-hilted dagger for this, and I want to touch on this more. So the note reads that on August 18th, so a little bit in time in the future here, this couple in question were found in or near their campsite in the La Salle Mountains. They had been raped and shot. And something to note, one thing to note, there are multiple. One of the women contacted a friend prior to their disappearance about a weird man hanging around their camp. It is also important to note that one of the two women worked at the co-op where the 911 call for the Brian and Gabby domestic dispute originated from. Not only this, but the woman that worked there is reported to, according to Florida media, to be at work at the time of the dispute. I do not know if she placed a 911 call. I do know that there was a second caller That audio has not been released as to my knowledge as the day of recording this. Um, so I don't know if who made that phone call. Um, but they may have not released it because they think one phone call is enough, or they may not have released it because it is evidence in a murder investigation. I will not speculate. After they leave Moab, Brian flies back to Florida. I need to touch on this. This is extremely important detail. Um, so this trip was only disclosed, only in an article by thedailymail.com. Brian's mother spoke exclusively to the Daily Mail and stating that Brian moved Gabby's stuff out of the house that Brian and Gabby shared with Brian's parents. Okay? In the same article, a photo posted to Facebook by Gabby's uncle states that the family of Gabby was aware of this trip. The picture in question has been subsequently been removed. Um, this leads me to believe that it was either false or contains material facts in a murder investigation. So, also on the 17th, once Brian flies to Florida, Gabby checks into a hotel. Most likely it hasn't been confirmed, but I'd be hard pressed to believe she spent the night in the van. So on the 19th, during Brian's trip away, she makes the one and only, as far as I know, there may have been earlier ones, um, but the only one that is there now, the only YouTube video that they have ever posted, and the last YouTube video that she will ever post to their joint account. The next day, on August 20th, the last TikTok from their joint account is posted. The caption of the TikTok actually references their YouTube channel, talking about new videos up. Check the link in the bio. If you go to the bio for the couple, there is no YouTube link. Okay. So Brian returns from Florida on the 23rd, and on the 24th, they both check out of the hotel. Then on the 25th, Gabby does two things. She makes the last Instagram post of herself in front of the butterfly wall in Utah. It is unclear whether she traveled to the butterfly wall while Brian was away, or if they stopped on the way to the Tetons, because in her mother's last contact with Gabby, Gabby had a FaceTime call with her mother on the 25th. Gabby references going to the Tetons. So, 26th, Brian has a confrontation at a bar in Montana, alone. I believe he's alone. It was not stated that he's with a woman or anyone else. So I'm just going to say that he's alone. If something changes later, I will correct that. But he has a confrontation, says some stuff about the politics they're talking about, and then leaves. So, and then, all right. So there are a couple things happening here. So at some point in time during the day, Gabby snaps a friend that she is headed to Yellowstone. This fact got our triple-hilted, excuse me. This fact was purported in the same note posted by Gabby's uncle on Facebook and then subsequently deleted. Once again, it may be false. It may be material evidence in a murder investigation. So, also, at some point in time in the day, on August 27th, a couple visiting Wyoming from Louisiana witnessed an argument between waitstaff and Brian, who was visibly angry. This had happened at a Tex-Mex restaurant in Jackson. Brian was seen exiting and then re-entering the restaurant several times, and Gabby was seen crying and trying to remove Brian from the restaurant. So, a fact I do know is that at around 6 to 6:30 p.m. on August 27th, a YouTube couple records footage of Gabby's van in the dispersed camping area. Um, this footage will, in the coming weeks, lead the FBI to find Gabby's body. It is one of the only reasons that they know where she is. So, the 28th, we don't know anything. Then the 29th happens. So, Brian is picked up at around 5:30 p.m. on August 29th, by a person driving by, in the Coulter Bay area. He stated he was showering, and he needed a ride. So Brian offers $200 for a ride. When questioned about what he was doing, and where he was going, he told them that along the way that he had taken a camping trip around Coulter Bay, and that his fiance was back at the campsite, their van that they've been traveling in, working on their social media page. So the driver took Brian to Jackson, she was going to Jackson. She took him to Jackson Dam, where he asked to be let out because she was going to Jackson and he was not going to Jackson. Then a second driver picks Brian up nearby and takes him to his camp. Brian is visibly agitated during this trip, this leg of the trip, and upon getting to the camp, asks to be let out, then demands to be let out. The woman who drove him jokes that he is just trying to show off that he walked all the way to his girlfriend, and at which point Brian tries to get out of the car while it's moving, and so she stops and lets him out. There is a double dagger. The double dagger says that Brian, this is just talking about where he was staying at. I filled in a little bit of stuff while I was talking. So he was dropped off at the camp at 6:30, and then subsequently, I checked yesterday, the Coulter Bay Hermitage Point Trail is closed, and that is the area directly south of Coulter Bay where Brian was picked up. So it's believed that that was the area he was probably camping in. Now, on August 30th, two things happen. First, Gabby's mother receives a text message from Gabby's phone. They have not released most of the details, most likely because it is material fact in a murder investigation. So, don't even need to speculate. But the fact that this text was made, this may have caused the missing persons missing persons report to be pushed to September 11th. Gabby's father stated actually that they tried to file a missing persons report on the 10th, but they were unable to because of the last time that they had talked with Gabby, so they were pushed to the 11th. Second, and importantly, Brian uses a pair or one or multiple of Gabby's electronic money cards to purchase at least $1,000 worth of something. Whether that something is tangible or not, the FBI knows that. But this is important because the fact that he charges Gabby's cards will be used later by the FBI, and we will return to this when that happens. So, on September 1st, Brian returns home um, in Northport without Gabby. And the double-hilted double dagger on this is a note that the drive from the dispersed camping area where the van was seen on the 27th in the YouTube video and where they found Gabby's body to Northport is a 1-day, 10-hour straight drive. Do the math on it. To get there on September 1st, he would need to have left on the 3rd, unless he flew home. No evidence suggesting that is true. On the 4th, Brian's mom buys him a new phone. Don't know what happened to his old phone. Then on the 6th, the Laundrie family vacation. So the triple hilted double dagger. The Laundrie family attorney has released a statement at the time of recording this that the three entered and left Fort DeSoto Park. It is not clear, however, that the three left at the same time, that the three left at the same time, but Brian was not in the car, or if the three left at the same time and Brian didn't return home, or if the three left at the same time and Brian returned home. That's why they have a lawyer, is to make that not clear. So, on the 11th, as we all know, Gabby Petito missing persons report is filed by Gabby's mother. On the 14th, Brian is reported missing by his parents. On the 16th, Brian's parents bring Brian's car back from the reserve where they suggested he may be. They said he liked to go there, so he might be there. You should look there. This is an incredibly dense reserve, very difficult to search, and made up with a lot of water inside. So, Brian's car was found and recovered at the reserve, and it's reported the police left a note on the car asking it to be moved. And then on the 22nd, the most interesting development, an arrest warrant is issued for Brian, and it cites the use of Gabby's cards on August 30th. Specifically, that Gabby Petito was dead by the time he used the cards on August 30th. This puts the timeline for the murder of Gabby Petito between the days of August 27th and August 29th. So, that is the end of the timeline I have so far. There have not been any factual discoveries since then. There has been no evidence found to public knowledge that Brian Laundrie is in the reserve or is anywhere else. A picture was snapped on a deer camera a couple weeks ago, and it's reported that the man snapped on that deer camera was found and is not him. So, some things that are currently happening. The Fort DeSoto camping area is being searched by police. Islands around it are being searched by Dog the Bounty Hunter. The media is bad at relaying facts, correct facts without typos. And the Sarasota Police Department still continues to search the Carlton Reserve where Brian's car was found. That brings us to the conclusion of this video. I do not know if there will be another video. I hope this answered any questions you may have had. And I hope that they find Brian Laundrie, and I hope that the same thing that happens to women of color more frequently gets more attention, and that those people are found. So, I hope everyone has a fantastic day.